Hey, Jay here, escobarj.com. This video is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be how to start your self-improvement journey. And I'm going to give you 5 tips, 5 things that you can start implementing and things that you can do to start improving yourself and how to start your journey of self-improvement. A lot of people don't know where to start. A lot of people do know where to start. But the first tip, and it's not necessarily a tip as in cause this to happen or go do this, but a lot of times when people start going through a big self-improvement change or they really start changing in their life is when they go through what I call an existential crisis. Something in your life that really causes you to question your beliefs and your values. Usually it's something big. It's not, it's not something like you had a rough day or someone was mean to you or, something small like that. But sometimes it could be something small like that over the course of time where you just do the same thing day in and day out and people are saying the same things to you or you're just negative people around. Sometimes that can be the trigger. But oftentimes it's something bigger. And I'm going to share just a quick story from myself, an existential crisis that I went through recently. In 2017 was a tough year. The last 3 years have actually been pretty tough for me and my family. First thing that happened is I lost a job, lost a good job that we were making $100,000 a year doing, and we had just bought a house, our first house, and we had just gotten married. My wife and I had been dating for about 3 years at that point, and we decided to get married. And in January of 2017, we got married. And then come May of that year, lost my job, and then later down in the year in 2017, had to sell my house. That was back like August or I think it was October time. We had to sell our house, and then eventually we just couldn't pay the mortgage anymore, so we ended up having to move in with my dad. And that was a big existential crisis for me because here I am, newly married, you know, with a stepdaughter, and we're just enjoying life, and then all of a sudden, loss of job, just like that. The next thing you know, we're trying to stay afloat. Next thing you know, we're selling our house and having to move to California, and that really just was one of those times when it really causes you to question what's going on in your life. How did you get to that point? Because obviously it's your life and you're going through it. So whatever it is that you did to get there, it's your fault. And it was my fault because I wasn't making the right choices. I wasn't making the right decisions. I wasn't improving myself, improving my skills. As an entrepreneur, or just as a human being, I was stagnant. I was in a place of comfort, and all of a sudden, loss of job like that, didn't know what to do. I had to sell my house. We got a repossession. Credit went to crap, and so that's when things really started to take a toll, and that's when I really started to dig into self-reflection. And that's what I mean by an existential crisis, is something that forces you to question your own beliefs and question your own values. Because obviously, if what you believe and what your values are, if they are truly correct, then you wouldn't be in that existential crisis, right? So up until that point, once you go through the existential crisis, it forces you to question yourself and question what you believe in and you do a lot of self internal reflection, and it causes you to point the finger back at yourself and say, well, why did we get to this point? What's going on? Why did this happen? And you start questioning you, right? A lot of people start blaming other people and start blaming the economy or the job or this or that. But when you really start your self-improvement journey, you start to reflect internally, because the things that you can control, if you're doing the things that you can control on a daily basis, then you shouldn't be in that existential crisis. And the more you put those decisions off, the more you make those bad decisions, those begin to snowball, those begin to compound, and you can see negative compounding effects years and years and years down the road. So that's what I mean by existential crisis. Now, it is possible to start your self-improvement journey by not having to go through an existential crisis, and people can do it, but what I've found is it doesn't light the fire in you as much. When you go through a shitty situation and it forces you to reflect internally as to, how do we get here? What did I do? What mistakes did I make for us to get to this point? Because obviously what we're doing isn't working, and we need to change. I need to change. I need to do better. I need to step my game up. I need to step up and take responsibility. And we're going to get to that in a minute. But I do want to say that people can change without existential crisis, but the most motivating time to change is when things aren't going your way and something causes you to question your values and beliefs. And that forces you to want to adopt new beliefs. So how do you get new beliefs? How do you get new core values and new beliefs? Well, that's number 2. Number 2 is start reading books and listening to books. And when I say it's reading and listening to books, I mean get obsessed with listening to audiobooks and reading books and content that will help to edify and grow your mind, your mindset. That is the first place you should be focusing on, is your internal mind, your internal dialogue, your internal values, your internal beliefs. That is where you start. Because once you change that and you really start to apply those things, then those positive attributes start to compound outside of you. Most people think that you have to have the things you have, do, and then be. What I mean by that is most people think that, oh, if I just have this thing, or if I just have this much money, or if I just have this tangible thing, then I'll do the things that I need to do to be happy. That's the wrong way to look at it. The correct way is be, do, have. You need to become the person in order to do the things that you need to do to have the things that you want to have. Be, do, have. So be, that's what you got to focus on, is becoming the right person. And how do you become the right person? How do you become the person that you want? Edifying your mind. Reading and listening to people who've already done it. Reading and listening to books and audiobooks that will change your philosophy and change your values. And there's a few books that I would highly recommend that you read. One is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. That really hit me hard. The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, and The Science of Being Great by Wallace Wattles. They're kind of two in the same book. Really, really old book. Excellent. Another one is The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eckhart. Excellent book. Will go into money. It goes into becoming the right person, kind of the be, do, have. That's where I first learned about Be, Do, Have, is by Harv Eckhart. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, excellent book, very, very old, but very, very good. Will really help your mindset and really help you understand that money and happiness and self-improvement are things that are attracted to you. You become the right person. You become the person with the right qualities and attributes to attract those things to you. You become a magnet for positivity once you become that person. And the way you become that person is by literally diving in and becoming obsessed with listening to books and reading books and listening to audiobooks. So that's the four books, and then the fifth book I would say probably another one would be like Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant or Rich Dad Poor Dad. I like Cash Flow Quadrant. It's a little bit more advanced, more in detail. It's the second version of that book. So those are some really good books. And then another, just a bonus book I would highly recommend is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. And those books, if you just start with those will help you get your mind right. There's tons of books. I mean, there's so many great books on Audible. I'm an Audible junkie. I listen to Audible every day. And that's the second tip is to start listening to books and start reading books. To really reflect and start to implement new ideas and new values and new philosophies and new attributes into your mind. Now, the third thing is start taking responsibility for everything in your life. And I mean everything. There's a chapter in The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, and it talks about this exact thing, is taking responsibility for literally everything in your life and see what happens. When you do that, when you take responsibility for everything in your life, even if it's not your fault, you begin to build a rhino skin. You begin to build your discipline muscle, because it is a muscle. It's just like working out or exercising. The more you practice, the more efficient and the better you get. So take responsibility for everything in your life, even if it's something that's not your fault or things that are secondary things that happen to you. Take responsibility for them, and that will help you with your discipline muscle and help you apply the things that you're learning in the books. Number 4 is start paying yourself first. Start paying yourself 10% of all the monies that come into your household, that come into your bank account. You open up, and if you want to start just very basic, just open up a second account and start depositing 10% of literally all the money that comes to you. Everything. Just the first thing you do with it is pay yourself. You take 10% of that money and you throw it in there. What you'll find is that you really don't need the full 100% of the money to pay your bills or to live your life. You'll notice that if you just take that 10% and just stash it away and just forget about it and don't touch it and just let it sit there and accrue, you'll notice that you will still get by. I promise. No matter how little money you make, you can still do it. You can find ways to earn an extra 10, 20, 50, 100 bucks a month. And then you just take that and you start stashing that. You just start saving that money. And if you want to go more in depth, I highly recommend reading Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by Harv Eckhart. He teaches, and I implement this, I've been doing this for about a year now, is you open up 5 different bank accounts. One is your necessities account. That's for all your bills, necessities. One is your financial freedom, long-term financial freedom account. One is your play account, where you are allowed to blow and spend money however you want. One is your education account, to pay for things that will improve your mind and improve your skills and improve yourself. And then the last one is a I'm drawing a blank here. Okay, so you got the financial freedom account, your play account, your necessities account, your education account, and your giving account is the last one. Your giving account. Okay? When you give money, you are sending out a message to the universe that you are responsible with money and that you can handle lots of money. When you give, that allows you to receive more, because the more you give, the more you receive, and the more you can give, the more you can receive. It is a kind of a backwards law, but it is a law nonetheless. It's kind of like objects in motion will always stay in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. It's kind of like that same thing. The more you give, the more you can receive, because the more you give, the bigger your container is, because you're giving. It opens you up. It opens up your container more, and which allows your container to be filled more. Okay, so kind of a little tangent there, but if you want to just start basic, just pay yourself 10% of all your money and start saving that for long-term investing and long-term education. I do recommend the 5 bank accounts method though by Harv Eckhart, because it helps you to break things down even further. It gives you like an education account, for example. How are you going to pay for Audible books? How are you going to pay for books? Well, you start saving into an education account. You're going to be covered. You can buy as many books as you want. I can buy however many books I want right now. Okay, now the 5th tip is take massive action over time. Okay, I just said objects in motion tend to stay in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. When you're self-improving, your journey to self-improvement is great. Learning is great. Listening and absorbing is great. But you're not actually improving until you apply the things that you learn. Knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge is power. When you apply it, you can read all the books you want in the world, but if you never apply them and you never take action on them, then you're not really improving. So you have to absorb and listen and read and absorb all that good information, and then you need to apply it in your life. For a quick example, quick story with me is with Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. When I read that book, I've literally read that book probably close to 100 times. And that book, there's so many good nuggets in that book that will teach you to get rid of bad money programming, how to expand your container, how to become the person you need to become, to do the actions you need to do in order to receive and have the things that you want to have. Explains all that. Explains the 5 bank accounts, and just being a great money manager. And that book really helped change my life and change my financial situation. I'm now getting to the point to where I'm investing in the stock market. I have several $1,000s to invest in education and books for myself whenever I want, or other courses that will help improve myself. I've got a play account that I am able to just go blow money in, and I give to my church, and I have an account that I specifically designed to give. And you know what the crazy thing is? I feel better when I start giving. When you give of yourself, you start feeling more fulfilled inside, because it's not about me. It's about what can I do for others? How can I give? How can I add value to other people's lives and the people around me? And when you give, again, your container gets bigger. You are allowed to open up, and you are allowed to receive more. And that's another important thing, is you need to be open to receiving. It's one thing, like a lot of people struggle with receiving things because they don't feel like they deserve it. If you give, if you focus on giving, you will feel like you deserve it, and you will want to receive, because that's just how the universe works. Harv Eckhart gives a great example. Um, if you ever watch the flow of water, right? He gives an example that he went camping one time, and he set up a tent, a tree tent, kind of like a tripod almost, where he would set up a tent on the side of a tree, and he would sleep under this little tent, right? But it wasn't a full tent where you get in there. It's just like a tarp, or not a tarp, but just like a half a triangle, right? Just like this. And it started raining. And if you notice, where all the water goes is it lands on the tarp and then goes down one direction. And what he noticed is that underneath the tarp was completely dry, right? There was nothing, there was no rain, no wetness underneath the tarp. But over to the left side of the tarp, there was a huge puddle. And that's the way money works. That's the way self-improvement works. That's the way that's how you need to become to attract the things that you need to do the things you need to do to attract the things and have the things you want in your life. You become that tarp where you sit there and you are giving and giving, and then blessings just rain down upon you. And when you're open, those things flow into you. And it's kind of like the rain analogy. Rain goes on a tarp, it funnels down to the very bottom of the tarp, and then it creates a big pool of water. Money works the exact same way. So those are my 5 tips. I hope you like this video. I hope you found some value in it. I hope these help you. They've helped me tremendously, and I know that they will help you if you just apply these things and start doing these things. And again, sometimes it takes an existential crisis. Sometimes it takes going through the shitty to really dig deep and really light that fire in your belly to really want it. And that is my message. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share this. If you know of somebody who's going through some crap right now, going through some tough times, share this video with them. It will help them, because once you get to the point to where you understand that you can control your outcomes by doing the things on a daily basis and doing things that you can control, it's empowering and it's liberating, and you get a sense of direction in life. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, like, share this with as many people as possible. Let's get the message out. Love is the answer, and giving is the answer. And that's what I'm trying to do with this video, is to give you my journey and my experience and how you can improve and start your journey of self-improvement. So subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or want to leave any comments, leave them down below. Other than that, I love you. I love you. Let's always learn. Let's always grow. Let's always push forward. We will make it through. The economy is bad right now, but that too shall pass, and we will persevere. All right. See you in the next video. Take care.